morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is David Paternak, and I'm here as a member of the Regulation and Discipline Committee, as well as a member of the State Bar Board of Trustees. I would like to welcome all of you to the annual State Bar public hearing on admissions, competence, and discipline in Los Angeles. Some of you probably know we had one of these recently in San Francisco as well. Also present with me, directly to my right, is Jayne Kim, Chief Trial Counsel. Far right is Colin Wong, Chief Administrative Officer of the State Bar Court. To my direct left is Gail Murphy, Senior Director of Admissions. And to my far left is Randy DeFantorum, Director of the Professional Competence Department at the State Bar. Call the first name on the list, please.
Jayne Forte.
Thank you. Good morning, panel. Jayne Forte. Thank you for being here. Let me speak again. I was in San Francisco last week and I spoke very briefly. I've submitted a lot of written material information already. I gave you a 4-page letter that has attached to it documents. In quick summary, I want to say, as I said last time I was in Los Angeles, my wife and I, we've met in Marina del Rey, married 26 years ago. I actually had done a radio program called AttorneyBusters.com here on KRLA. I have many people inside the State Bar that still remain in contact with me on the QT, and they speak to me. Nice folks. Used to listen to the radio program. I don't have anything against attorneys. I want to support good attorneys out there. I want to do everything I possibly can to get that going. But in my own situation, I think what I really want to emphasize here today is the importance of when an attorney who is a public official, and I have filed a complaint, so I believe I can mention the person's name, but he is a public official. That's Merced County District Attorney Larry Morse and their staffs, involved themselves in a false prosecution of me, but it was to go ahead and conceal that I was exposing public official corruption. That's what happened. Let me just play a recorded conversation, a very short one, of District Attorney Larry Morse, who called me after I was arrested at the court case that I'd gone to against Larry Morse. And by the way, Tetra Tech International. Tetra Tech International is a multinational remediation firm. And what I discovered was Tetra Tech was draining millions of dollars out of the underground storage tank fund by method of using district attorneys threatening criminal prosecution against individuals for remediation of their gas stations that didn't need it. And when I looked at it, we found that this is a way that Tetra Tech was going ahead and bribing a lot of officials. Anyway, let me just play you a recording of District Attorney Larry Morse and I. He knew he was being recorded when he called after my arrest. Larry is right. He could file charges against me, could investigate charges against me. But when he did, and after he did so, his wife, who was in charge of Merced Defense Associates, was assigning the public defenders to my case. And everyone that got in and started to first hear these conversations said, hey, we got to file a motion to dismiss. But they were afraid to do it. Why? Because they would be crushed. But they were controlled by DA Larry Morse's wife. And it brought it to the point where I finally kept on fighting against them. That, as we know, as I told you before, in June of this year, I was the first improper to go into a federal courtroom after an 8-day jury trial and receive a unanimous verdict with punitive damages proving that I was being retaliated against to the point of death threats for exposing public corruption. As we all know, the big cop about this is, before we got to that case, Larry Morse still, when he was prosecuting the underlying case, he finally went in league with my own public defender, Eric Dumars of Merced County, already a complaint filed, and had me declared suffering from a severe mental delusional disorder of the grandiose and persecutory type. Why? Because I believe there's this conspiracy against me, without seeing a doctor, without being interviewed by a psychologist. This is just like Stalin's Russia, for God's sakes. They then dismissed the criminal charges at the request of my public defender, and that same public defender tried to hang himself in his garage 4 days after I filed the grand jury complaint. But the rope broke. They then found out he was on drugs, cocaine, and alcohol, just like I testified to this Counsel trial, and they forced him to resign. I've given all this to the State Bar. And the State Bar sends me a closure letter saying, well, there's not enough investigation here. How can that possibly be? This is the other thing Larry said. Second. And now, understand, I have hours of this.
Mr. Forte, I think if I can stop that for 1 second. Just to inquire, is the court reporter getting the recording?
Sorry, I'm delayed here. Mr. Forte is going to give me a tape of this.
So you will have it?
So,
Yeah.
Okay.
As it is, I don't think it's completely transferable.
And just for a second, pause time.
That's
I made sure.
That's okay, I just wanted to make sure we're gonna have a complete.
I made sure I didn't give a copy for CD.
Okay.
Um,
Go ahead, continue, sorry to interrupt.
And one last one I want, and I'll be finished. So this man, I gotta tell you, I told Eileen, I feel sorry for Larry. I like Larry, we had lunch before. Eileen says I shouldn't, because of the torture he put our families through. But I understand what he did, I'm not gonna go into it now. This should be a career ender for Larry, but most importantly, what we've exposed here, we have a prosecutor, public prosecutor, working for the public defender, who's on drugs and cocaine, to have me declared crazy like him in Stalin's Russia. And then I walk into the federal courtroom, I proved to everybody my case with punitive damages. Real problem, and I'm here to help the State Bar. Joe Dunn, not anywhere in comparison to this. I could be your Hail Mary pass to the State Bar, because you can go ahead and show the public the State Bar can come in and stop gross prosecutorial misconduct with defense misconduct, coupled with judicial misconduct. Sad to say, I swear to God, sad to say, as I told Ms. Kim.
Mr. Forte, I just want you to know you have about a minute left.
Thank you very much. When you pull on one string on this, it unravels everybody, because see, all the things I say are either audio recorded, video recorded, in court documents. The officer, Randy Watkins, which you have a video, a audio recording of, investigated this. He's an officer right now, staff officer, police department. They're in fear of my life. They're in fear I can get killed by these guys. And the reason why is because, I gotta tell you, the State Bar sent a closure letter to DA Larry Morse, Merced County Defense Counsel, and all these guys, while I had this trial going on against them coming up on October 15th. They're scared. This is career enders for them. This is time you guys can pull yourself out of some very bad public image the State Bar has. And I believe you people have good hearts. I really believe that. I trust everybody. When I start off with, I'm a nice guy.
Mr. Forte, your time is up.
Thank you.
Conclude, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. I want to tell you each one of you, thank you, and please look at this stuff.
Thank you for coming down, and thank you for your comments.
You're welcome.
Gene, here's what's going on. I'll just level with you about what's going on. I cannot handle any of your cases because you have sued me, right? I am a cross-complainant in the suit with Marion. And ethically, I cannot make a decision on any of your cases while I'm, after having been sued by you. I mean, it's just unethical on its face. It looks either punitive or retaliatory, or that I'm currying favor with you in some way, no matter what I do.
The problem is, because you are Jayne Forte and have a reputation for being one of the most litigious people in North America, I cannot in good conscience give this case to another county. There's a specific section in the ethics manuals for prosecutors that you can't you can't file a complaint against somebody who has filed against you. Now, if you had sued me after I had filed a complaint either against you or something else, that's a different story. But if you had a standing legal action in which I'm a named defendant, and I understand somewhat peripherally, but I am a named defendant, why, I have a conflict is that you're appearing on that particular case.
Yeah, they would.
I have to, out of an abundance of candor, tell, the DA in Stanislaus County, hey, I'd like you to take this case or now these cases, but in fairness, I have to tell you that Mr. Forte's been around the block a few times. He is an experienced, litigator, albeit not an attorney. He's got a lot more experience than many attorneys in doing this, and you could find yourself in litigation 5 years from now. I, cannot in good conscience make that exchange with one of my colleagues.
Oh, well, and that's why...
Down in Mariposa County,
well,
I tried to run it by him, and his response was, what have I ever done to you, Larry? And I've explained this to the Attorney General's office. I'm ordinarily happy to comply and find one of my 57 colleagues to swap a case out, but I can't do it with your particular case. So I am telling the Attorney General's office, by God, I have an ethical conflict in this case. We all agree with this. You need to take this case, evaluate these matters, decide what, if anything, should be filed against Mr. Forte, and set this thing in motion so that he can avail himself of all his legal rights and options. And if nothing's going to be filed, et cetera, there needs to be some clarity and some closure on this. And I have just been, frankly, getting the runaround from the AG's office, and so it leaves me in a state of suspension here. I can't help you get this thing moving one way or the other until I get some freaking clarification from the Attorney General's office.
Well, here's...
So if I put Jerry Brown after this, I'm going to go see Jerry, and I'm going to present to him all the stuff that militates in favor of a conflict, that demands that I have an ethical conflict that precludes me from evaluating, let alone filing, these cases.